Are the Bears just 3 moves away from glory or disaster? First, HQ threatens a volcanic trade for an elite RB. Don't even think about the Jets. But would they sacrifice a fan favorite plus picks? Second, a hidden DT just entered Hollis Hall, and 7 teams are following. Will Poles move heaven and earth to fortify the trench, or let him go to a mortal rival? And third, the draft dilemma. Break the bank for Gene T or risk IT with a tank on day 2. Chicago, every second counts. If you miss this, you'll lose the key to the Bears' future. Subscribe or stay out of history. What we're witnessing could completely change the future of the Chicago Bears. We're at a critical juncture where every decision could mean success or failure in this 2025 season. Let's analyze 3 bombshells that have the entire fan base counting down the days until the season starts. Should the Bears pursue a trade for Breece Hall? That's the question everyone is asking. Look, the Bears finished the 2024 season ranked 25th in rushing yards, averaging just 102 yards per game. A shameful statistic for a franchise historically known for its ground game. Is this acceptable? I tell you, absolutely not. Now Ben Johnson is at the helm as the new head coach of the Bears, and what he needs are playmakers all over his offense. We're not talking about average players. We're talking about game changers. And one area that could immediately improve is the running back room. While everyone talks about drafting Ashton Jeanty with their 10th pick or another running back in the draft, Bleacher Report suggests something entirely different: trading D'Andre Swift in their 72nd pick to acquire Breece Hall from the New York Jets. This isn't a small rumor. This could be the move that defines Chicago's offense for years to come. What does Breece Hall offer? After suffering an ACL tear as a rookie, Hall has built a considerable role in the Jets' offense. In 40 games, he has rushed for 2,333 yards and 14 touchdowns. He has also added 1,292 yards and 8 touchdowns through the air. Does that sound like an elite player to you? I think we're talking about a special talent. Hall's dual threat ability fits perfectly with what Johnson wants to do on offense. In his last season with the Detroit Lions, running back Jahmyr Gibbs accumulated 1,412 yards and 16 rushing touchdowns while catching 52 passes for 517 yards and 4 touchdowns. Although Hall and Gibbs are completely different backs, it's easy to see how the former fits into the latter's scheme. At the same time, Hall has never rushed for more than 1,000 yards in a season. His most recent campaign saw him fall to 876 rushing yards and 5 touchdowns. With the chaos Aaron Rodgers brought to the offense, it's fair to ask how much blame Hall really deserves. Even so, the Bears will be handing him the keys to their running back room. Are they sure Hall has what it takes to handle it? I ask you, is it worth the risk for a franchise that desperately needs to improve its ground game? At just 23 years old, Johnson would surely find a way to integrate the back into his offense. The only question is whether the Bears and the Jets are willing to make a deal. To start, the Jets must agree to trade Hall. But if they do, the Bears have 2 crucial decisions to make. Does the franchise want to part with Swift? And are they willing to let go of a 3rd-round pick? Swift's debut in Chicago saw him rush for 959 yards and 6 touchdowns. Although he received a career-high 253 carries, the running back averaged just 3.8 yards per carry. Hall wasn't much better with 4.2, but still, Johnson knows his lead back needs to be much more efficient with the ball. Swift is certainly on the hot seat heading into the 2025 campaign. Even so, he gives Johnson and the Bears some extra punch in the passing game. Swift has caught 237 passes for 1,798 yards and 8 touchdowns over his 5-year career. He had 42 receptions for 386 yards in his Chicago debut. So even if the Bears add another running back, it's not like Swift is useless in the offense. Johnson has experience working with him, and the franchise may not be willing to part ways after just 1 season. especially based on what happened during the 2024 campaign. While Hall has shown he has true NFL talent, and a third-round pick is a shot in the dark, the Bears could simply find their next running back there. They seem likely to add a back early in the draft. Johnson has undoubtedly done his homework on every name available in the 2025 class. Hall adds a lot of potential, but the player the Bears draft would be Johnson's chosen one from day one. The NFL draft is always unpredictable. If the Jets are seriously considering trading Hall, it might be an opportunity too good for the Bears to pass up. But General Manager Ryan Poles knows how crucial the 2025 draft is. He will be cautious with every pick and every decision before him. Now let's move on to another hot topic. The Bears might have brought in veteran defensive tackle Grady Jarrett to strengthen the defensive line, but they're not necessarily happy stopping there. Why do I say this? Because their latest reported visit to Hollis Hall clearly indicates that Tennessee's defensive lineman Omar Norman-Lott had a visit with the Bears, according to Ian Rapoport of NFL Network. The visit is one of 8 official visits, and 9 including the local visit with the Titans. The Chiefs, Bills, 49ers, Bengals, Buccaneers, Browns, and Falcons are the other teams he will visit. What does this mean for the Bears? I'm telling you, they're looking for depth and youth at a critical position. Norman-Lott is rated as an early to mid-third round pick, depending on who's doing the rating. Pro Football Focus has him as the 66th player on their draft board. Daniel Flick of Sports Illustrated rated him 76 in a top 100 of all players in the class, while the NFL mock draft database currently ranks him 83rd overall. Norman-Lott would be something of an apprentice to Jarrett, as he's considered a bit undersized. At 6 feet 2 inches and 291 pounds. Norman-Lott didn't run the 40-yard dash at the combine, but NFL Draft Scout posted pro day times of 5.17 and 5.17 seconds. He started at Arizona State for 3 years before transferring to Tennessee. With the Volunteers, Norman-Lott made 9.5 of his 13.5 sacks and had 10 of his 17 tackles for loss during his last 2 years. Are these stats enough to impress the Bears? I think they're looking beyond the numbers, evaluating how he'd fit into their defensive scheme. Besides Jarrett, the Bears secured Chris Williams to add to the mix of defensive tackles with Gervin, Dexter Jr., Andrew Billings, Jarrett, and Jonathan Ford. They also have the ability to move edge rusher Dale Odeyingbo inside, as he's done in the past. But let me ask you this. Is it enough? Because teams win in the trenches, and if they want to compete seriously, they need as much talent as possible on both lines. Finally, let's talk about another critical position for the Bears, the running back. It's hard to determine which running backs will be available for the Chicago Bears and at the right value in the 2025 NFL Draft. But it's widely believed that the Bears will come out of the draft with a new addition to the backfield in some capacity. The ideal target remains Ashton Jeanty, a top 5 talent in the class, who unfortunately likely won't be available with the 10th overall pick. Should the Bears move to select him? I ask you, is it worth sacrificing draft capital for a running back, no matter how talented? Assuming Jeanty goes to a team like the Las Vegas Raiders, the next best running back is Omarion Hampton, though. Picking him at 10 still seems a bit pricey in terms of value. Regardless, Hampton seems destined to fall somewhere in the first round if the Bears front office believes they can find a higher value player at another position with their first pick. The team also has 2 second-round picks, 39 and 41. 2. Add a running back on day 2. Both Ohio State running backs, Travion Henderson and Quinton Judkins, have had some buzz in Chicago, but there's a chance both are picked before selection 39, which would really put the Bears in an unfortunate spot to address the position. But don't worry, there's another strong option that will be a great pick on day 2. ESPN insider Jeremy Fowler published a new article on Wednesday where he shared what scouts and executives have conveyed about prospects with tough evaluations. Iowa running back Caleb Johnson was one of those players mentioned. And Fowler mentioned the Bears as a possible scheme fit for his playing style. "He needs to go to a wide zone team," said an FC executive. "The scheme fits him, and he's going to be a solid pro. But if you're looking for early burst or elusiveness, he doesn't have it." Examples of wide zone rushing teams include the San Francisco 49ers, Los Angeles Rams, Chicago Bears, Minnesota Vikings, and Pittsburgh Steelers. Straight line runner, very decisive when going north-south, added an NFL personnel evaluator. He's not a sudden mover. He's a linear glider. Johnson was super productive during his last season at Iowa, totaling 1,537 rushing yards and over 20 rushing touchdowns. But the concern about scheme fit seems real. Our own Tyler Furnace noted that Johnson will give you chunks of yards, but lacks the explosiveness and elusiveness to evade defenders during his scouting evaluation. With that in mind, Johnson sounds like an ideal candidate to share the backfield with an explosive and elusive back like DeAndre Swift, giving head coach Ben Johnson his new version of Sonic and Knuckles. Johnson would excel as the north-south runner and pass protector in the wide zone scheme that Johnson ran with the Lions, while mixing in Swift to be the big play guy. Looking at how the RB position is currently ranked, Johnson could be the best option available on day 2 if the Bears pass on an RB at 10 and other teams pick Ginty, Hampton Henderson, and Judkins first. And this brings us to a crucial question. Should the Bears wait until day 2 to select a running back or go all in with their first pick? I tell you this, you can never have enough playmakers on your team. And if Ginty or Hampton are available at 10, Ryan Poles should seriously consider making the move. What do you think? Should the Bears trade for Hall, select Norman Lott to strengthen their defensive line, or wait to get Johnson in the draft? Each decision has its pros and cons, and as always, time will tell if the Bears are making the right choices to build a contender. Do you think Breece Hall would be worth the price of DeAndre Swift and a third-round pick? Let me know your opinion in the comments, because this could be the game-changing move for the Bears. Is Omar Norman Lott the kind of defensive player the Bears desperately need, or should they focus on other areas of need? The defensive line is crucial in modern NFL, but is this the best way to strengthen it? And finally, would you prefer the Bears use draft capital to move up and select Ashton Genie, or wait until the second round for Caleb Johnson? The ground game has historically defined the Bears, and restoring it to its former glory could be key to future success. Whatever your opinions, make sure to join our Bears family by liking, subscribing, and turning on notifications. We are a passionate community analyzing every aspect of our beloved team, and your voice matters in this conversation. Don't miss our next updates, because when it comes to the Chicago Bears, we always have exclusive information you won't find anywhere else. Bear down, Chicago Bears.